Hey there. Welcome to a deep dive. We're looking at this stack of sources you shared with us today for June 6th, 2025. Lots going on.
Indeed, a real snapshot of global events.
Yeah, and our job here is pretty simple. We want to sift through it, find the key takeaways, and help you get a quick handle on what's moving the needle across politics, business, tech, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's unpack what this summary of the day's landscape reveals.
And the goal, as always, is to connect those dots, see how these seemingly separate events maybe tell a bigger story about, the currents shaping our world right now. And it's all based strictly on the info we have here.
Absolutely. So let's kick off with politics and global affairs. The sources seem to lead with a major gathering in Normandy, the 81st D-Day anniversary.
That's right.
What's the significance highlighted there?
Well, it's really presented as twofold. First, obviously, it's about honoring the immense sacrifices of World War II, a powerful moment of remembrance.
Yep.
But beyond that, the sources really emphasize it's an occasion for leaders to publicly reaffirm commitments to peace and democracy.
Right. And that carries extra weight today, doesn't it?
It seems to, given the current global climate mentioned, that historical reflection linked to a present-day statement.
Interesting. Okay, moving from that symbolism, there's also news on diplomatic moves. Here's where it gets really interesting. The U.S. and China.
Yes, a specific development noted there.
What's the plan?
The plan mentioned is establishing a new diplomatic hotline between them.
A hotline. Okay, and the aim.
The stated aim is pretty clear. Create that direct communication channel to, well, prevent misunderstandings and reduce tensions, specifically in the Indo-Pacific.
Mhm.
What's fascinating here is seeing this very pragmatic step towards de-escalation being reported, amidst all the broader competition we hear about.
A practical tool, hopefully, to keep things cooler in a tense spot.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift focus then to some big national developments. India and Brazil are highlighted. What's happening there?
Different areas of focus. In India, it's about the economy. Prime Minister Modi is reported to have outlined new economic reforms.
Reforms targeting what specifically?
The key areas flagged are digital infrastructure, rural development, and clean energy. So specific sectors pinpointed for growth.
Got it. And Brazil.
Brazil's focus is more on governance. The information we have says their Congress just passed some sweeping anti-corruption legislation.
Sweeping legislation. What does that actually mean, according to the details?
It specifies two main things: increased penalties for graft, and importantly, expanded protections for whistleblowers.
Okay, so real teeth to it, potentially.
That seems to be the intent described. So if we connect this to the bigger picture, you've got two major nations working on foundational reforms, but different angles. India on economic structure, Brazil tackling governance, trust, corruption.
Right, different paths, same goal of strengthening things internally.
Exactly. Both seem fundamental to their development, just different immediate priorities shown here.
Okay. And one more item in this political section, an international inquiry.
Yes, it's mentioned that the UN Human Rights Council has launched an inquiry,
Into what?
specifically into recent civilian casualties in Gaza. And alongside that, it notes international observers are arriving there to assess the humanitarian situation.
Okay, so an assessment focused on the humanitarian side and casualties.
Got it.
Strictly factual reporting there.
That's what the information provides. Yeah.
Okay, let's pivot then. Moving away from politics to business, tech, sports, and culture, how's the global economic picture looking today based on these sources?
The word used is mixed for global stock markets.
Mixed. Why? What are the pressures?
The factors mentioned are external ones. Investors are apparently weighing the impact of new U.S. tariffs and also just general geopolitical uncertainties.
So markets are jumpy because of trade and global events. Makes sense.
Yeah, reacting to those big picture items.
But wasn't there a specific bright spot mentioned? Somewhere doing really well.
Yes, exactly. A contrast. India's Sensex index reportedly hit a record high.
A record high. Why?
It's attributed directly to strong quarterly earnings from their IT and pharmaceutical sectors.
Interesting. Even with global jitters, specific sectors in some places can really power ahead.
Precisely. It shows that complexity. It's not always one uniform global picture.
Right. What about decisions from big economic players, OPEC Plus or the ECB?
Okay, two different things there. OPEC Plus is signaling a potential production hike in the coming months.
To do what? Stabilize prices.
Yeah, the stated goals are stabilizing oil prices and meeting expected summer demand. Meanwhile, the European Central Bank, the ECB, decided to leave interest rates unchanged,
Unchanged. And their reasoning.
cited as steady inflation figures and moderate economic growth in the Eurozone. So they're holding steady based on their assessment.
Different bodies, different levers, different reasons. Okay, let's switch gears to technology. Always moving fast. Any immediate tech concerns we should know about?
There are a couple of pretty practical ones flagged. First, Apple put out a security patch for iOS and macOS. There was a critical vulnerability affecting, well, millions.
Right, so update your Apple devices. That's the takeaway.
Definitely. Applying that patch is key. Second, there's a cybersecurity warning doing the rounds. A sophisticated phishing scam targeting remote workers.
Ah, the phishing scams never stop, especially for remote workers, yeah.
Seems particularly targeted this time. So, vigilance is needed.
These really hit home, don't they? This raises an important question, just about staying on top of your own digital security, patching, watching out for scams. The basics remain crucial.
Absolutely. The information underscores that by highlighting these specific current risks.
But it's not all warnings, right? There were positive tech developments, too.
Oh yes, quite a few. Google's AI translation service expanded 25 new languages added, and there's a stated focus on underserved regions, particularly in Africa and Asia.
That's great for accessibility. What else?
On the industry side, Tesla reportedly opened its first Gigafactory in India. Big news there, promising affordable EVs and lots of jobs.
Significant investment.
And Meta unveiled a new privacy dashboard. The description says it gives users more control over their data.
More control is always welcome. So tech today covers, well, immediate risks, broader access through AI, major industrial moves, and user privacy tools. That's quite a range.
It really is a snapshot of how varied the tech landscape is.
Okay, let's lighten things up a bit, maybe. Sports and culture. Packed with news, too, it seems.
Always. So in sports, there was a bit of an upset noted in the ICC T20 World Cup. Afghanistan beat England.
Oh, wow.
Tennis-wise, the French Open semis are set. Top players like Swiatek and Alcaraz are advancing, as you might expect.
Right.
And a really interesting detail about the upcoming Paris Olympics, the medals are being made from recycled electronics.
Recycled electronics. That's different. Sustainable metals.
Exactly. Incorporating that theme.
And culture, what's buzzing globally.
Quite a mix here, too. The Venice Film Festival is planning a tribute to director Sofia Ramirez called Groundbreaking.
Okay.
Music charts, K-pop still huge. Blackpink's single Starlight is #1 globally, apparently. And BTS's Jungkook announced a solo album.
K-pop's global power continues.
Definitely. Then you have a Hollywood blockbuster eclipse dominating box offices worldwide. Standard summer movie season stuff there.
Right.
But also, India's National Museum has a popular interactive exhibit on ancient civilizations drawing big crowds. And London's West End theater season is kicking off with a focus on diversity and inclusion.
Wow, that's genuinely global. Film festivals, pop charts, blockbusters, museums, theater themes. It really shows the breadth of what's happening culturally.
A very diverse picture presented in the sources, yeah.
Okay, let's move to our final main segment, environment, science, and human stories. Starting with the environment, what concerning trends are highlighted?
There's one particularly stark warning mentioned. A study showing Arctic sea ice is melting at its fastest rate ever recorded.
Fastest rate on record? That sounds alarming.
It is, and it's explicitly noted as raising serious alarms about the wider global climate impacts. What's fascinating here is just how unambiguous that data point sounds in the report.
Yeah, a clear warning sign. But, like with other areas, the sources also mention actions being taken, right? Not just warnings.
That's true. It provides a counterpoint. India is noted as launching a Green Villages initiative.
Green Villages, what's the goal?
Ambitious goal. Make 10,000 rural communities carbon neutral by 2030.
10,000 villages, wow.
So you see that contrast. The alarming global trend reported alongside a large-scale national initiative trying to address climate impact.
Good to see both sides. What about science? Any breakthroughs?
A big one highlighted involves NASA's James Webb Space Telescope. It's captured the most detailed images yet of an exoplanet's atmosphere, a distant one.
Incredible, pushing the boundaries of understanding other worlds.
Exactly, getting potential insights into what those distant atmospheres are made of.
Amazing. Back down to Earth, though, any immediate environmental events mentioned? Like weather?
Yes, alongside the long-term climate data and space discoveries, there are reports of immediate impacts. Specifically, severe storms in the U.S. Midwest causing flooding and power outages.
Right, a reminder of the immediate local effects.
Correct. day-to-day realities.
And any specific environmental policies making news?
One clear action item. Australia announced a nationwide ban on single-use plastics, set to take effect January 2026.
A concrete step with a deadline. Okay, finally, let's touch on the human stories section. These often add a different kind of perspective, don't they?
They really do, and there's some wonderful examples provided today.
Like what?
Well, a teacher from Mumbai won the Global Education Prize for a digital literacy program she created.
Fantastic.
In Canada, volunteers are highlighted delivering care packages to people evacuated because of wildfires. Real community support.
Needed in crises.
A Kenyan marathon runner set a world record and then pledged the prize money to charity.
Wow, amazing achievement and generosity.
In Germany, their Bike to Work campaign apparently saw record participation, promoting health, sustainability.
Simple idea, big impact.
And lastly, a coastal town in Brazil celebrated its Sea Turtle Festival, marking a successful nesting season thanks to local conservation work.
Lovely. Turtles making a comeback there.
It seems so. These stories are great. If we connect this to the bigger picture, amidst all the massive global challenges and headlines, these examples really ground us.
Yeah.
They show human resilience, individual achievement, people helping each other, local efforts, making a real difference in education, charity, conservation, health.
It's a powerful reminder of positive action happening everywhere.
Exactly. A vital part of the overall picture for the day.
Well, we've definitely covered a huge range today. Politics, business, tech breakthroughs and warnings, cultural highlights, environment, science, and these really inspiring human stories, all drawn from that material you shared.
It really paints a complex picture, doesn't it? A world facing significant challenges. Geopolitical fiction, climate warnings, cyber threats, natural disasters.
Yeah, all that's definitely in there.
But at the same time, signs of real progress, innovation, positive action, diplomatic efforts, economic reforms, tech expanding access, science pushing frontiers, conservation succeeding, people making a difference.
Both things are true at once.
Precisely. Which kind of leaves you with a final thought or maybe a question to ponder based purely on this snapshot today.
Go on.
How do these contrasting forces, these huge challenges versus the ongoing progress, a global scale versus the local impact, the risks versus the resilience we just talked about, how do they actually interact? How do they combine to shape the world that you experience?
That interplay between the big picture and the individual actions. Yeah, that's definitely something to think about.
It's a dynamic worth considering.
Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive, exploring today's global landscape through the sources you provided. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and stay informed.